National Consumer Commission now confirming yet another recall of thousands of cars because of problems with their airbags. The original problem stems from an airbag manufacturer in Indonesia. It's called Takata. It's led to thousands of recalls around the world. Now here, 18,600 Kia, Sportage, Soul, Sorento, Optima and Cerato models are being recalled, along with 323 Jeep Wrangler vehicles. Prudence Moilwa is the head of complaints and investigations at the National Consumer Commission. Prudence, good afternoon to you. You and I have had this conversation about this airbag recall before. One factory leading to so many recalls around the world, and yet it is something we have to take incredibly seriously.
Yes, indeed, because it is a safety concern. I'd like to just make a slight correction. The Kia recalls are with regard to the ABS brake system. So the only recall that is about the airbag is the 333 by Jeep Wrangler that concerns the airbag functioning.
My mistake. I apologize. Thank you for the correction. What role do you play in this? You obviously oversee the recall. Do you get to make sure that the companies do what they're supposed to do to have all of those cars brought back?
Indeed. And recently, we must say that we've taken also a closer look at all the recalls to just ensure that they've actually done what they've said to us they've done. So we do monitor the recalls. We also administer them to a large extent, wherein we monitor if the recall is successful and as to whether the replacements and everything else that needs to be done is done. So on an ongoing basis, we would receive reports, and in the closeout report, we would then also assess whether there are any other consumers that might be affected. So we look at the life cycle of the entire recall.
And what do people themselves have to do? They obviously need to go back to, I presume it doesn't have to be the dealer where they bought it, but any dealer would work, any dealer that deals with that make. Is that right?
Indeed. Any accredited dealership, for example, this recall by Kia, which involves about 18,600 vehicles. This would mean that all the affected vehicles, or the people who are driving the affected vehicles, would have to then take them back for assessment and replacement of whatever parts that needs to be replaced or repaired. So with the Kia one, it involves Kia Sportage, Sorento, Optima, Cerato and Soul models. It's about 18,600 vehicles that were made available from 2009 and 2016. And the reason why we're also emphasizing this, because it's also slightly different from all the other ones, which are airbags, is that it affects the braking system, which we are concerned. Luckily, they have informed us that there hasn't been any reported incidents, but indeed we still think it's a large risk for people to drive vehicles that ABS systems do not brake properly.
No, sure. I mean, you need your braking system to work properly, obviously.
Of course.
I mean, you've had so many issues with cars lately. I would like to just ask you, you're currently in the middle of an investigation, or at the beginning of an investigation, into SHEIN and Temu. Now, these are two companies that have really grown their market share in South Africa. You said in your last statement on this that they were cooperating with you. What kind of information are you asking from them? I mean, I presume you start off with some questions for them. You look at the complaints you've received. How's that process going?
No, it's actually going very well. As you may be aware, we started this investigation in the middle of November, which is fairly recent. But we've already started communication. The questionnaires have been dispatched, and we are in the process of just waiting for them to. They're still within the timelines that you had given. So there was, just in terms of determining who we should speak to in terms of the serving of the documents in the beginning of the investigation, but now we're good to go. We're speaking to their attorneys. We're also speaking to their legal department on a range of issues that we intend to look at.
What exactly are you looking at? I understand that there's been a very small number of complaints about these two services. They are kind of changing retail in some ways. There's a gamification aspect to it as well, which I think is quite new for most of us. They've been going for a couple of years now. What exactly are you looking for?
Yeah, basically, we want to just test compliance with the Consumer Protection Act. As you may be aware, during our market monitoring, we do pick up a lot of things online. In fact, we did before the beginning of this investigation, wherein consumers would actually even, sort of say things in jest with regard to the quality of the products and also the level of service that they've received. We viewed this quite seriously as the Commission, even though consumers perhaps looking at the price point of some of the products, they would think, they can let go of certain issues. But as the Commission, picking up from our market monitoring online, we picked up that there were certain practices that may be inconsistent with the consumer protection from the marketing, and as you also indicate, issues of promotional competitions and stuff like that. So we intend to look at the entire life cycle of their transactions. We've already also communicated this through to them just to test compliance with the Consumer Protection Act.
I do just want to understand this because I get that Shein and Temu are offering very cheap goods that you can't get at that price anywhere else. And I understand as well that there are concerns about the impact they're having on our producers. No one wants South Africans to lose their jobs. Have you come under pressure to investigate these two specific e-commerce companies because of what they're doing to South African jobs? Your job is to look after consumers, and I presume your main focus would be to make sure consumers aren't being ripped off.
Yeah, if you watch the space in terms of the discourse, we recently attended the global seminar of regulators in the consumer protection space. And I think the one thing that we agreed upon is that online transactions have not really been looked at. And we made a commitment as global regulators that consumers online must receive the same kind of protection as those that trade on brick and mortar. And as you would agree, it would be unfair for us just to focus on transactions that are from brick and mortar transactions and not look at the ones that are online. And also, I think in terms of where, in terms of marketplaces and trading is heading to, online transactions have quite increased, and it's now time for us to contend with the issue. I think this is also in line with what is happening globally, wherein all regulators are also taking a closer look at compliance with legislation in their own countries of online transactions. So it's not necessarily that there has been any pressure. We've never done any investigation because of pressure. Our main concern has always been consumer protection, and it still is.
Prudence, thank you very much indeed for your time. Prudence Moilwa, Head of Complaints and Investigations at the National Consumer Commission. A lot more